looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's cloud illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. Moons and tunes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing way you feel when every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at love that way, but now it's just another show. You leave them laughing when you go, and if you care, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's love's illusions I recall. I really don't know love at all. Tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes and circus crowds, I've looked at life that way, but now old friends are acting strange. They shake their heads, they say I've changed. Well, something's lost, but something's gained in living every day. I've looked at life from both sides now, from win and lose, and still somehow it's life's illusions I recall. I really don't know life at all. I looked at life from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's life's illusions I recall. I really don't know life at all.
Good morning. My name is Jenn Katon. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm a member of the Worship and Music Committee. It is my pleasure to welcome you to our virtual service at First Parish of Plymouth Congregation. These services will be posted on our Facebook page and on YouTube. The first part of our service is recorded. Then we will go into our candles of joys and concern, which is not recorded. Our service today is led by Amy Palmer and Michelle Levangie Gilmore. I'm sorry if I messed up your name. Our minister, Reverend Arthur Lavoie, will return to the pulpit in August. It is our hope that you stay for our virtual coffee hour and conversation after the service. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever you believe, wherever you are on your journey, come walk with us this hour. Let us walk together this hour.
Good morning, people. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. am springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, silent from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sung in completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
With my virtual chalice and the chalice on the screen, I say, love is the spirit of this church and service to this law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and freedom, to speak the truth in love, and to help one another. Okay. So now, Amy, through all this relaxing start, we'll go to you now, and you can lead your homily.
All right, great. I love lay lid services, but to do that, somebody has to do the service. So when Chris asked me to do a summer service, I agreed. I wouldn't say enthusiastically agreed, and I wouldn't say reluctantly agreed, because it's always a huge challenge for me to figure out what I want to talk about. I know this self-imposed introspective analysis will help me organize my thoughts and grow from the experience. Last summer, I also participated in the lay-led services. I spoke about working in local public health as the health director for the town of Mansfield in the spring and summer of 2020. I continue to work as the health director in Mansfield, and it has been a crazy year for sure. I won't bore you with details, but I pretty much spent November through March working with businesses, residents, youth sports, daycares, and town employees to identify quarantine and isolation times and best practices to stop the spread of this deadly disease. I also continue to enforce restrictions, mask mandates, and sector-specific state guidelines. This spring quieted down solely because of people's willingness to be vaccinated. And now, although it's far from over, we're at a COVID case low, and I'm back to the pre-pandemic understaffed workload of a health department. In comparison, I'll take it. So here I am, emerging. What am I emerging from? A lot of restrictions, requirements, illness, fear, and death. I personally was not affected by COVID in the same way many of you might have been. Nobody in my house or immediate family got sick, with the exception of my nephew at college in Iowa, who had a mild case, or was at least smart enough to tell his mother back here in Massachusetts that. I never even had to quarantine. And even though I was careful by minimizing personal interactions, my inner hermit was thriving, and I wore my mask. I know how lucky I was. My son Will, in 8th grade, got on a bus every day masked to go to a small private school in Falmouth. My daughter Kelly, a sophomore at Plymouth North, went to school 2 times a week most of the year, enjoyed her independent learning, stayed home most weekend nights to watch TV with us, and played sports. My husband Joe has a job that not only allowed him to stay home, but would have made him jump through hurdles to go back into Boston. I was at work, but safety measures were put in place to protect us. We were lucky. What am I emerging into? That's a good question. I'm not sure what answer it is. I go through a wide variety of emotions such as frustration, anger, sadness, appreciation, gratitude, apathy, disinterest, and exhaustion. First, I'm going to talk about the apathy, disinterest, and exhaustion. It was back in May that I was first exposed to the word languish. I was scrolling my podcast list for something to listen to, and Work Life with Adam Grant, titled "That Blah You're Feeling is Called Languishing," caught my attention. It's a reading of an article he wrote back in April. How do I know it was that? because I Googled the small bits I remembered since my brain is mush because I'm languishing. Some terms Adam used in his article to describe languishing were: languishing is a sense of stagnation and emptiness. It feels as if you're muddling through your days, looking at your life through a foggy windshield. And it might be the dominant emotion of 2021. Languishing is the neglected middle child of mental health. It's the void between depression and flourishing. It's the absence of well-being. You don't have symptoms of mental illness, but you're not the picture of mental health either. You're not functioning at full capacity. Languishing dulls your motivation, disrupts your ability to focus, and triples the odds that you'll cut back on work. It wasn't burnout. We still had energy. It wasn't depression. We didn't feel hopeless. We just felt somewhat joyless and aimless. I have not yet emerged from a period of languishing. I'm full on still in it. And I feel like I have to apologize to Michelle, my partner, this Sunday, because I feel like my inability to focus has prevented me from being able to work with her directly. I've become much more comfortable with procrastination during this pandemic. Eventually, I seem to pull things together, but I just don't have the energy to put much into something ahead of time. It's exhausting. So if you've been languishing and you have yet to emerge from it, please know you're not alone. Now to the other emotions: frustration, anger, sadness, appreciation, gratitude. I work in public health. I love public health. I was even gifted a mug that says, "I anatomically correct heart, public health." In public health, we work for the public's health, not my health, not your individual health, but the public's health. Vaccination is a major aspect of public health because it benefits to the public health. I get a vaccine to help prevent the spread of a disease. If the disease doesn't have a host because I'm vaccinated, then we're all safer. This is public health. I also think a lot about where the line is on requirements, restrictions, mandates, and laws that help the public's health. I know these things take away personal choice, but I want to live in a society where the majority of people make the choice to protect others and get vaccinated. Massachusetts is a place where the majority is protecting each other by getting vaccinated. Those of us who can be vaccinated are protecting those who cannot, like all the children too young right now, or the people who have conditions which prevent vaccination. I understand when somebody chooses not to get vaccinated because of their own health. Our vaccination protects them. I am frustrated and angry when I hear about parts of our country where people are swayed by the cultural influences that are breeding misinformation, fear, or a selfish sense of the individual choice. The COVID virus is spreading and mutating, and people are getting sick and dying. In last week's service, Vaughn said that he had faith in the scientific method. I too have faith in the scientific method, and the scientific method has shown that this vaccine is safe. I heard on the radio the other day that the government isn't doing a good enough job selling the vaccine to the American people. That made me really angry to hear. What else can we do in public health to convince the people that vaccine is safe and the majority of us must get vaccinated? But then this morning, Michelle and I were texting about the service today, and I realized that it is up to public health to counter the misinformation. And I don't know how that's going to happen. And I have no answers right now, so I'll just leave it at that. This brings me to my next emotion, sadness. I'm sad about the politicalization of everything public health. Like I said earlier, I think often about what kinds of laws need to be put in place to protect the public's health. Humans don't always make the decisions which benefit themselves the most. In my experience, public health change starts with an education campaign, encouragement, incentives, and then when enough people support it, laws to make permanent change. Smoke-free workplace, seatbelt laws, and plastic bag bans are all some examples. With COVID, there was a backlash on the restrictions to prevent the spread. Right now, around the country, there are laws being proposed to take away the authority of public health professionals. I'm sure many of them will pass because the general public doesn't like their choices to be restricted, but I think that's dangerous. Even if we don't like certain decisions made, public health professionals have the experience and the expertise to make these decisions to prevent illness and save lives. We worry about government making decisions to force us into restrictions or requirements for public health, But what about government not allowing those decisions, ultimately putting our health at risk? One of the big challenges I face in my own professional growth is to figure out where I think that line should be. Again, I don't have the answers. I'm constantly educating myself and changing my mind. Honestly, I was editing this up until just minutes before today's service because I've been thinking and rethinking all of it. And I'll probably change my mind after I read all this to you. I want to finish up with my favorite emotions, appreciation and gratitude. These emotions exist in my everyday life before and during the pandemic, and now during the COVID lull. How can I not look around and see wonderful, helpful, amazing people who are supportive and encouraging? I feel lucky with everything. Healthy family, solid employment, financial security, laughter in my house, kind children, adorable dogs, and loving friends and family who inspire me to challenge myself. I will never take these things for granted. And these emotions are what will get me through all of it. So thank you all for giving me the opportunity to unscramble, rescramble, and then unscramble my thoughts again. I always appreciate summer services, and I'm always thankful that Chris asks me.
I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, and the major lift. The baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Say I took the name in vain. I don't even know the name, and if I did, well, really, what to do, yeah? There's a blaze of light in every word. It doesn't matter what you heard, the holy or the broken. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Well, maybe there's a God above, but all I ever learned from love was how to shoot at somebody who outdrew ya. And it's not a cry that you hear at night. It's not someone who's seen the light. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Did my best, it wasn't much. I couldn't feel, so I tried to touch. I told the truth, I didn't come to fool ya. And even though it all went wrong, I'll stand before the Lord of song with nothing on my tongue but hallelujah, 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 hallelujah,
Hi, I am Michelle Levangie, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I'm grateful to be here as well. And I was on about this time last year, not sure exactly when, and I was recovering from COVID. I was in the throes of it. And I know I wrote a poem then. I wrote a poem today as well. I'm better at creative energies than like being vulnerable, like here I am. So I wasn't going to say too much about myself because it's been a hard year. But I'm so grateful, really. I'm feeling so much better. But my executive functioning in my brain is not working properly. So I'm more in my creative energy these days. But I looked up the word emergence when Amy told me that we were going to be talking about emergence, and it comes from the Latin verb emergo, meaning to rise up, come up, or come forth, or emergere, bring to light. There's many definitions. Wikipedia talked about philosophy systems, the process of coming into view after being concealed. As a philosophy, emergence occurs when an entity is observed to have properties its parts do not have on its own. That was a weird way of saying it. Basically, we're all affected by the whole, is what I take from that. And we change and shift. So emerging from the pandemic, I think we're all affected by everything. The fear, as a holistic therapist, I've seen people and the fear, everyone's in fight or flight. I myself, I think that was the biggest thing after COVID. For some reason, I was in fight or flight, even though I was never in the hospital. And I was really sick, and I'm a really stubborn nurse. We're the worst patients, right? So I was not going to go to the hospital. I had my oximeter, and I'm like, I'm fine. I did my breathing and my meditation, my Reiki, my prayer, my herbs, everything I could, really. And it really surprised me that it took me a good year. Like I got it in May of 2020, and I literally just started feeling better. And I've been doing homeopathy and herbs, and I've been resting and working very little. So it's been, but there's been such a beautiful silver lining to it all. I feel like all of a sudden, really, I've turned a corner recently, and I just feel rebirthed, really. So emergence is perfect. So what else do I want to say about myself? I'm just emerging with gratitude, really, and I'm just feeling like young again. And my body doesn't really always believe that. Like, I'm still not there, but I'm a fighter, and I'm just moving forward, and so grateful for this community and that I am here. So I'm going to read this poem that I wrote literally this morning, because that's how prepared I am, like Amy. So emergent is the snowflake, intricate patterns held together in water, evolving frozen designs, never stagnant, each one unique, always mutable, sacred geometry at its finest, microscopic mandalas of life, like keys to universal wisdom, condensing together, blanketing the earth in serenity or havoc. Emergent is a sand, dense matter softened, rock has become refined, surrendering to nature's elements, always changing, shifting, and blowing. Sharp, soft, bumpy, coarse, or light. Mutable is a structure, a soft bed for your weary body, or a sharp pellet against your skin on a windy day. In the sands of time, the only constant is change. Emergent are the starlings as they gather and commune, taking radical flight, weaving, dancing, flying high, dreamlike clouds of shadow, quickly changing form, harmonic flow, dancing to the music of the spheres, a magical aerial show of wonder, casting a magical spell of illusion. Emergent is the soul, navigating life's terrain, weary from the journey, over hills and mountaintops, into storms and dark places. Fear, worry, trauma, crisis are like the elements of nature, refining, softening, hardening, and changing. Yet there is always growth, guided by an invisible benevolence. Each soul a unique cosmic blueprint of love and light, held in a web of energy, like a giant spider web. Each string like an instrument, vibrating frequencies affecting the whole. creating a symphony of joy and sorrow, love, loss, peace, and acceptance. Emergent is my heart, pulsing with the rhythm of life, strength found through adversity, wisdom gained through diversity, awakening from winter's cold slumber, broken pieces torn apart, creating more space for love. Like a diamond forged under pressure, now brilliant and true, renewed, re-inspired, and rebirthed, my heart beats with the breath of the universe. A masterpiece of creation, deeply connected to all heartbeats, drumming together, all parts of the whole. Earth, air, fire, water hold us in a song of oneness. Thank you.
And now for the hymn. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll sing a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and the rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
I apologize. I have a touch screen and Cheryl does not, and I'm using Cheryl's computer. And therefore, I keep trying to touch the screen. We have our words about, for the benediction. I would like, because of the technical difficulties of the earlier this morning, I would like to read the call to worship as well, because there are words I think we all could use. May I know that there is no wrong path. May I know that there are many paths, each one different. May I trust myself enough to know that I am held, I am loved, I am accepted for doing the best that I can. With Reverend Meg Riley. Closing words. Help us be brave enough to live and love, and guide us in our search through doubt and darkness until we find the faith which knows no place or season, until we learn at last that through the very stars may wander, there is that within us that need never lose its way. A. Powell Davies, Unitarian Universalist minister.
Okay, so before we do the postlude and move on a little bit, I just wanted to thank everyone this morning. I know things were a little bit uneven. But the production wasn't perfect, but the homilies and musical performances were outstanding. So I really appreciate that, Amy and Michelle and Jean and Jen, and we saw Sandi, heard Sandi on the keyboard a little bit as well. And anyways, I just wanted to say I thought it was a wonderful service, and it's a great example how things don't always go perfectly, but we come together as a community, and I really appreciate that this morning. So now I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to go to the postlude.